Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Continue podcast. I am your host, Karina Montoya, and today I'm asking you guys a question. Is your happiness a problem? But before we get into that question, I want to tell you guys a little bit or give you an update since the last time we talked. Last week was spring break for me, so we didn't get a chance to talk. But it was good. I did some thrifting. I got a couple of nice pieces and I played a little bit of tennis. I If you saw my Instagram on the Continue podcast, I made like a little waffle. Here, I can show it to you guys for the people who are watching on YouTube. It's a little clay waffle, and I made little banana slices and little blueberries to play like tic-tac-toe on, and it's cute and it's fun. So I made it for my future house to put like on the coffee table, and it was nice because a lot of the times I don't make time for myself when it comes to little crafts like that. But I was able to this week during spring break. So I'm very happy about that. Another thing I did was I did some homework because I still have an online class that I had to do, and I had to go to the dentist. I'm not one of those people who like hate the dentist or are scared of the dentist, but the dentist can sometimes be painful or like uncomfortable. I had to redo a filling. And this story goes with our topic. So you're like, how is this going to relate? But hear me out. So I went to a new dentist and I was sitting down on the chair and they had to numb half of my mouth because I was getting a filling done. So they have to like drill out the old filling and then like put the new filling in and whatnot. So they were numbing the side of my mouth, and then all of a sudden this thought comes into my head and I was like, well, they're numbing the side of your mouth and that like numbing cream is like in your saliva, and like when you swallow the saliva, like your throat is gonna go numb and like you're in trouble. And I was like, "What?" Because it was a thought that like I got. And this is a reminder that you cannot always believe what you think, the thoughts that are formed in your head. Sometimes you have to let it like not only what you hear, but what you think, just like as soon as you think it, like let it go. Because some of these thoughts that we think are just nonsense. And we have to let them go, or else it will drive us insane and it will hurt us negatively, like physically as well. Because if I would have let that thought, like if I would have believed it, then I would have been freaking out. And I would have had to call the nurse and be I'm thinking I'm gonna die because you guys put numbing cream and I think that like my throat is gonna close up. I don't know. So this was just like a reminder that we can't always believe what we think. And it goes into all parts of our life. But this goes with our episode. And today's episode is called Is Your Happiness a Problem? I want to start off by giving the definition of the word happiness. This definition I found from Compassion International. It was like the first one that popped up. And it says, happiness is a temporary, external emotion that is based on favorable circumstances or achievements. To sum it up, it is a temporary feeling, and it is based on things that happen to us, and it is an emotion. So there are good things that come with happiness, being that it is a good emotion, it makes us feel good, it makes us it sometimes gives us like a rush of adrenaline, it gives us hope for the future. And when we're feeling happy, we're able to share that emotion with others. And sometimes happiness is contagious and it can cheer up the people around us. And overall, everyone loves to be happy. It's a good thing. I love when I'm happy. Um, but there is a problem with happiness. I'm not saying that happiness is a problem, but it can be. Because if we go back to our definition, it says that happiness is temporary. So what do we do when that happiness fades, or when we're on that search for happiness and we haven't achieved what we wanted to yet, or we haven't done what we think will make us happy? Even if we know something makes us happy, we can't just go walking around and doing stuff, just like doing certain things to have that feeling, because in those moments in between when we're not happy, are we just gonna be negative? Are we gonna, like, be upset or not have the same feeling and keep, like, just going through the motions? And how are we gonna talk to the people around us when we're not, quote, unquote, "happy"? Well, there is a better version of happiness, and you may be thinking, like, "What do you mean?" Well, let me take a sip of my vanilla iced latte with vanilla cold foam, which brings me happiness. And my frost buddy. Okay, but you're like, "What do you mean? A better version of happiness? Please share." Okay, I will. It's called joy, and let me tell you the definition of joy. Joy is a deep, lasting inner state of contentment that transcends circumstances, and joy is often considered a choice. So let's break down that one like we did for happiness. Joy is long lasting and enduring, meaning that it does not fade. Um, it is internal, it comes not based off of achievements and not based off of external circumstances like happiness does. Like, we get happy because something happens. No. For joy, let me go on and then I will say joy is a choice. So we choose to be joyful, not depending on what's going on around us. And it is a it's deep lasting inner state. So it comes from within. And the difference between a key difference between happiness and joy is that happiness, you can't be happy and sad at the same time. But you can have joy while you're sad. Like, those emotions can coexist because joy is a choice. Happiness is a feeling. It's a state of mind, like an attitude that you're choosing. And this is very important, especially for us, because in this, and by us I mean in this self growth journey. And there are always going to be difficult times, there are gonna be challenges that we go through, and in this self-growth journey, we have goals for ourselves, but we can't only rely on happiness, like, the same way that we can't rely on motivation. I guess, like, you can compare it to, like, motivation and discipline in a way. Like, discipline is like you're choosing to have discipline and you're choosing to keep going. But motivation, it comes and goes the same way that happiness goes. But when you're disciplined, it doesn't matter what's going on, it doesn't matter how you're feeling. You just go out there and you do what you said you were going to do. And with happiness, it comes and goes, but if you choose to have joy and you choose to be joyful, then you can go out there and not have your mood dependent on how you're feeling. And I know it may seem like hard and you're like, "Well, how do you choose to be joyful when there are like when you just had a bad day, or how do you choose to be joyful when things around you aren't great?" Well, for me personally, I believe in God, and I believe in Jesus, and my faith is a big part of how I have hope for my future. And because for me, placing my faith and placing what I believe in and like materialistic stuff wasn't isn't fulfilling. Instead, placing my hope and belief in God allows me to keep going and allows me to look at the things around me and say, these things are temporary, and they shouldn't have that big of a hold on how I choose to live my life. Because if I choose to believe that my goals are bigger than the ones right in front of me, then I can have that hope and that joy, and it's easier to have those feelings of hope and joy. And that's something that I wanted to share because I believe that putting our trust in materialistic things is hard because we can't control it. But when I put my trust in God, then I focus on what I can control, and I trust that God is working everything else for me because me as a human, I can't control a lot of things. So I just focus on what I do control, on what I can control. That being my attitude. I choose to keep going, and I choose to be joyful during hard situations. And to choose to be joyful, it's choosing to have hope for the future and choosing to believe that better things are around the corner. And I want to talk a little bit about the science behind happiness and joy and the difference when it comes to those two different things, and actual like science and neuro, like when it comes to our brain. Um, let's start off with happiness. When we are happy, the part of our brain that activates is the one that's in charge of like the reward centers. Dopamine is released, and this part of our brain that is activated, it is the same one that is activated in addictive behaviors, which is a lot of the times why we like get a happiness, like like a happiness high, and you're chasing to feel that like happiness again. But it can be like contradicting because you're chasing to feel a certain way, but then when you're there, like you're chasing that feeling again and again and again, and it can be harmful because if we never feel satisfied, then at the end it's like, what's the point? But instead, the parts of the brain that are activated when we choose to be joyful, when we're experiencing joy, it's activating the region of our brain that's in charge of meaning and purpose, long term well being and contentment, emotional regulation, and resilience. Um, this is important to because our mental health has an effect on our overall health. Our mental health, the way we think, it does have a big effect on like our health, because when we're stressed and we're focusing on negative stuff, and our immune system can be lowered. And then when our immune system is lowered, we're more exposed to different types of sicknesses and like our strength, like our body's ability to fight against these things goes down. But we want to give our body the best chance to fight against these sicknesses that are going on all around us. Like each year, there's something new. So when we are strong mentally, it helps our body be strong as well. So not only are we on this journey of like being better, like mentally or like physically, like working out wise, like also like health wise. And we do that by eating well, drinking our water, and understanding that the way we think also has a big effect on these things. So that was part of it. I want to say that happiness can be a problem, but happiness is good. Don't believe like I want to clear up that I'm not saying that happiness is bad. I'm saying that it can be bad when it's the only thing that we rely on. Because in fact, joy and happiness are able to work together. And when we have those, like when they work together, then we're able to have these experiences and we're able to have like moments of happiness. But then when those like moments fade, we're still able to have joy. It may look different because don't get me wrong, when we have joy, it doesn't need to be like it doesn't need to be like this whole show or like performance. It's just that we are at peace and that no matter what is going on, we're okay with the way that things are and we have this hope overall, like to keep going. And then you may be thinking, okay, well, like that makes sense and that sounds nice, but like how are we able to keep joy in these tough moments? Well, a few ways that help me keep my joy is or in general is taking a few moments to breathe. Because don't get me wrong, like I'm not saying that I always have joy. This is something that I'm working on and something that I will be working on for the rest of my life because I'm not perfect and I don't claim to ever be perfect or that I ever will be perfect because I acknowledge that I'm a human and as a human, be perfect. But what helps us is that when we help other people, it can help us. And when we give up control for the future and when we um, shift our perspective and regulate our thoughts, like I did when I was at the dentist and I was freaking out, when I shift my perspective, I'm able to relax and keep going. So stuff like that helps us maintain joy. Shifting our perspective helps us maintain joy, helping others helps us maintain joy, being disciplined, having goals, spending time with family, doing stuff that builds us up helps us maintain our joy. And good news, like these are things that we're able to do because it's something that we are able to control. Have like it's a choice to have joy. It's a choice and it's not dependent on our circumstances. Even when things are going on around us, even when we're not doing the best or when we need help, it's nice to know that we can take a few moments and that we're able to help ourselves in the long run because we're not always going to have someone there to help us. So that's the nice thing about it. So, in other words, your happiness is not a problem, but it does run out. And this week, maybe we can evaluate and see how much we're relying on happiness and if we should be focusing more on choosing to have joy. I hope that this made sense, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. I this podcast is available on Spotify and on YouTube, and I'm really just here to give a word of encouragement and to I just want to remind everyone that nobody is perfect and that life is life and it's gonna happen, but that when we focus on putting one foot in front of the other and when we focus on doing more than just letting life pass us by, that it can help us like reduce anxiety and it can give us this hope for the future. And by hope for the future, I mean it can give us something to look forward to and something to work for. But yeah, so I hope you enjoy this video. It's available on YouTube and Spotify, and shorts are and then like clips of the podcast are available on TikTok and Instagram at the Continue Podcast. If you want to stay tuned for more videos, their episodes, they're released every Monday. So go ahead and follow so that you can be alerted when the new episodes drop. And please comment down below anything that you may want to share. And yeah, thank you so much for joining and listening. Bye, guys.